I opened the wallet, and it was full of money. But there was no name inside, no ID, only one address written on a small piece of paper. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Easy English StoryLab. Today, we will practice English with a B2 to C1 level shadowing story. Listen carefully, pause the video, repeat after me. Copy the pronunciation, rhythm, and emotion. This is the shadowing technique, and it will help you improve your English speaking and listening. Now, let's begin the story. It happened on a quiet Tuesday evening after work. I had stayed late at the office to finish a report, and by the time I finally left the building, the streets were already darker than usual. The sky was deep blue, and most of the small shops along the street had already closed. I decided to walk home instead of taking the bus. The air was cool, and I needed some time to clear my mind after a long day. As I walked along the sidewalk, I noticed something lying near a bench in the small park next to the street. At first, I thought it was just a piece of trash, but when I got closer, I realized it was a wallet. A brown leather wallet. It looked expensive. I stopped for a moment and looked around. The street was almost empty. A few cars passed by, and somewhere in the distance I could hear music coming from a restaurant, but there was no one near the bench. I picked up the wallet and turned it in my hands. For a second, I hesitated. Maybe I should leave it there? Maybe the owner would come back looking for it. But the wind was starting to blow harder, and the wallet could easily be lost again. So I decided to open it and check if there was any identification inside. The moment I opened it, my eyes widened. The wallet was full of money. Not just a few bills, it was thick with cash. I quickly closed it again, suddenly feeling nervous. "Okay," I whispered to myself, "stay calm." I sat down on the bench and opened the wallet again, this time more carefully. Inside, there were several credit cards, some folded papers, and a large amount of cash. But something strange caught my attention. There was no ID card, no driver's license, no photo, no name. I checked again, slowly going through every pocket. Nothing. "That's strange," I said quietly. Usually, people keep at least some form of identification in their wallet, but this one had none. Instead, I found something else, a small piece of paper folded into a square. Curious, I unfolded it. On the paper, there was only one thing written, an address. No name, no explanation, just the street name and a building number. For a moment, I simply stared at it. The address looked familiar. Very familiar. I pulled out my phone and opened the map. After typing the address, my heart skipped a beat. The location appeared on the screen. It was only 5 minutes away from where I was sitting. I looked again at the wallet full of money, then at the address. A strange thought crossed my mind. Maybe the owner wanted someone to find it. Maybe the address was a clue. Or maybe this was simply the only way to return the wallet. I stood up slowly. My curiosity was stronger than my hesitation. Holding the wallet tightly in my hand, I started walking toward the address. The streets became quieter as I moved further from the main road. Finally, I stopped in front of an old apartment building. The number on the wall matched the address on the paper. For a moment, I stood there wondering what I should do next. Then I noticed something unusual. The building entrance door was slightly open, and the lights inside the hallway were on. Taking a deep breath, I stepped closer to the door. At that moment, I realized something that made my stomach tighten. The piece of paper had an address, but it did not have an apartment number. And suddenly, I had the uncomfortable feeling that whoever owned the wallet might already know exactly where I was. I stood in front of the apartment building for a moment, holding the wallet tightly in my hand. The entrance door was half open, and a soft yellow light came from the hallway inside. The building looked old, but well maintained. It had 4 floors, and each floor had several apartments. But there was one problem. The paper inside the wallet only had the building address. There was no apartment number. I stepped inside slowly. The hallway was quiet, and the sound of my footsteps echoed slightly against the tiled floor. "Hello?" I called softly. No one answered. I looked around. On the wall near the entrance, there was a row of metal mailboxes with small nameplates. I walked closer, hoping one of the names might match something inside the wallet. But again, something strange appeared. The wallet had money, credit cards, but no names. And now the mailboxes had names, but none of them meant anything to me. I checked the paper again. Just the address, nothing else. For a moment, I wondered if I should simply leave the wallet with the building manager, but I didn't even know which apartment belonged to the owner. As I stood there thinking, I suddenly heard the elevator moving somewhere above me. The sound made me look up. The elevator stopped on the 2nd floor. A moment later, the doors opened. Footsteps echoed faintly through the stairwell. Someone was walking down the stairs. I waited near the entrance, unsure what to expect. Soon, a man appeared on the stairs. He looked to be around 50 years old, wearing a dark coat and carrying a small grocery bag. When he saw me standing there, he stopped. "Can I help you?" he asked politely. I held up the wallet. "I found this near the park. There was a paper inside with this address." He looked at the wallet carefully, but didn't try to take it. "That's not mine," he said calmly. "I thought maybe someone in this building lost it." The man thought for a moment. Then he said something unexpected. "You're not the first person to come here with that wallet." I frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" He leaned against the stair railing. "About 2 months ago, another woman came here with the same story. She said she found a wallet full of money and a paper with this address." My heart started beating faster. "And what happened?" I asked. "She waited here for a while," he said, "but no one came to claim it." "That's strange," I said quietly. The man nodded. "Yes, very strange." For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he looked directly at me. "Did you check the inside pockets carefully?" I said. "Yes, why?" "Because the other woman said she found something hidden." My eyes widened. "Hidden?" He nodded slowly. "Inside the wallet, something small." I immediately opened the wallet again and began checking every pocket more carefully. At first, I saw nothing new, but then my fingers touched something unusual, a thin, hidden pocket in the lining of the wallet. Carefully, I pulled out a small folded card. The card had only one sentence written on it. I read it quietly. "If you are honest enough to return this wallet, you deserve the reward." My heart skipped a beat. Just as I finished reading the sentence, the man beside me suddenly smiled, and then he said something that completely surprised me. "I believe that reward belongs to you." For a moment, I simply stared at the man. "I'm sorry," I said slowly. "What do you mean?" The man smiled again, but this time his expression looked more thoughtful than mysterious. "I mean," he said calmly, "that wallet was placed there on purpose." I blinked in confusion. "On purpose?" He nodded. "Yes." For a few seconds, I didn't know what to say. The situation suddenly felt very different from what I had imagined. "You're saying someone left a wallet full of money in the park, intentionally?" I asked. "That's exactly what I'm saying," he replied. "But why would anyone do that?" The man placed his grocery bag on the floor and leaned against the railing again. "Because some people still believe honesty matters," he said. I looked down at the wallet in my hands. "So this was some kind of test?" "In a way, yes," he said. He pointed toward the hidden card I had just found. "That message explains everything." I read the sentence again. "If you are honest enough to return this wallet, you deserve the reward." "But who left it?" I asked. The man chuckled softly. "I suppose this is the moment when I should introduce myself." He extended his hand. "My name is Daniel Carter." I shook his hand, still trying to understand. "You placed the wallet there?" "Yes," he said without hesitation. "Why?" Daniel looked toward the open entrance door for a moment, as if remembering something. "About a year ago, I lost my real wallet," he explained. "It had my identification, my cards, and quite a bit of cash inside." "What happened?" I asked. "I never saw it again," he said with a small sigh. "Whoever found it decided to keep it." I could hear a quiet disappointment in his voice. "That must have been frustrating," I said. "It was," he admitted, "but it also made me curious." "Curious?" I asked. "Yes," he continued. "I began wondering how many people would actually return a lost wallet if they had the chance." I looked again at the thick stack of cash inside. "So you decided to test it?" He nodded. "I prepared a few wallets like this one. Each of them had money inside, but no identification, only an address that led here." "And people found them?" "Some did, but not everyone returned them." I slowly understood what he meant. "So the others kept the money." "Most likely," he replied. For a moment, the hallway was quiet again. Then Daniel smiled warmly. "You know," he added with a small smile, "every time someone returns that wallet, it reminds me that the world is not as dishonest as people sometimes think." I smiled back. As I left the building and stepped into the cool evening air, I felt strangely happy. I had walked home expecting an ordinary evening. Instead, I had discovered something simple but powerful. Sometimes the real reward isn't just money. Sometimes it's knowing that doing the right thing still matters. Great job! Now play the video again. Pause after each sentence and repeat out loud. Copy the pronunciation, rhythm, and emotion. This is the shadowing technique, and it will help you speak English more clearly and confidently. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write a comment. See you in the next story on Easy English Story Lab.